What's up, everybody? It's your boy London Bridge for Space Yacht Radio. Today on the show, not in the studio, but in a studio, we have Nostalgix. What's up?
What's up? How you
All,
guys doing?
all the way from Vancouver, British Columbia, yeah, BC.
BC.
That's where they got that BC Bud. That was the thing when I was growing up, BC Bud. Oh, that was what everybody was always talking about. That's the best weed? I don't know. You tell me.
It actually is though. Like anywhere you go in the world, it just doesn't compare. Like even Amsterdam, where it's so popular.
I found that Amsterdam actually had pretty swag weed when I was there, and I mean that. I don't know. People say swag in different ways. I mean it in a bad way. I thought it was very like weed that I
Swag.
used to buy in the park in like Central Park. But maybe I
I
went
mean,
to the wrong. Maybe I went to the wrong places. You know what I mean? They've got
yeah,
different.
I feel like if you know like the right place to go, maybe. But in Vancouver, everything's just so fresh. Like everything.
Everything's. We were there. So you played Space Yacht. This was in January. Pre-corona, pre-quarantine. So we were
Right
we were
before.
we were raging like normal people. And when you just said like everything's very fresh, like I feel like that's the vibe as the city in general. Like it seems like a very fresh, clean people who have a good energy. I mean, what's going on in Vancouver? Like what's the vibe? That's it.
The vibe. I would say in terms like I would kind of describe it like LA, but smaller and people are just like very kind and nice. It's just the Canadian blood. Everyone's so kind to each other. I
I
like it
felt
out
that.
here 'cause the music industry is like I feel like it's the best in Canada. It's
Okay.
definitely growing. There's a lot of artists out here that are doing their thing and getting out there.
So is there a scene on the dance music side? Are you feeling there's a proper scene going on where you are?
Yeah, I would say so, but it's not like LA, obviously. Coming out to LA, I realize that the scene is freaking massive there.
Yeah,
You guys have like everyone.
everyone's there. Everyone's there, or they've moved here, and that was honestly like when we started in 2015. We felt that we were like at the very beginnings of this kind of wave that was coming because everyone
Hmm.
had either just gotten there. Like I remember the first year of Space Yacht, like the first you'd have like Gasly had just been like living in his car, like Jaws had just become Jaws. You know what I mean? He wasn't Jaws. He wasn't. And then I was looking at pictures yesterday. Like you had like Marshmello was there. You had Yultron there. You had all these people who are now these mega artists. And when it was just starting, I was like, wow, LA actually has a scene where I never thought of LA as like a hub for dance music before 2000, I don't know, 14, 15 is when it happened. But anyway, but then you also have, in addition, you have a lot of like American artists coming up to you guys too. So I feel like you have a pretty robust, like you get to see all the people we get to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When
Or
did
no,
Space
or
Yacht start?
oh, Space Yacht started in 2015, January, February 2015.
That's so crazy that it's only been like what, like 5 years now?
It's 5 years. We had our 5 year
5 years.
in January. Yeah, and it
Wow.
started as
It's grown so much.
we started as like a party for our friends. It was
Mhm.
just like, it literally was just like 100 people, like in this really, the old venue wasn't nice like Sound. You've been to Sound, yeah? I saw you at Sound.
Yeah, I came right before quarantine hit,
Right.
like in February.
Yeah, no, I
That
remember.
was
Was
fun. That
that
was
the
fun.
last, was that when West End was playing? Was that a house show?
No, that was a base night.
It was
So
a
there was
bass
like
night.
some
So that
woes.
might have, that might have been the last one, I feel like.
Oh,
I think I saw you at the last, was it in March?
I don't. I forget. Oh, like Sippy was playing.
Oh yeah. So that
Yeah,
wasn't the
yeah.
last one. That was sick. Sippy's
That
awesome.
was fun though. That was
Yeah.
really cool. I like how you guys got like the little merch booth outside. It's
Oh
like a
yeah.
cool vibe out there.
I'm a, I'm now a fashion designer.
It was. Love that. Love that.
But I'm always at the merch booth. I'm at the merch booth. We do the virtual merch booth during our streams now where people, it's just a Zoom chat.
I feel like when you're a music producer, you're also like everything else.
It, definitely in today's music producer world. I felt like
Yeah.
when I was coming up, like when I was in a band, it didn't feel that way. But now it's like, yeah, like you see a lot of artists who like also are designing their own covers or like making their own animations or whatever. I know like okay, like he makes his own visuals. It's pretty sick.
That's sick.
I think
I
abstract
love stuff
abstract too.
like that. I really want to get into like doing my own visuals and like making my own films and things like that down the line.
Yeah, you to go along with the music as like part of the
Yeah.
package. So let's take a step back because we're just chatting, but let's actually talk about you for a second so that people who are tuning in. So Nostalgix, you'd kind of categorize, you're definitely in the house family, kind of on the bassier kind of
Yeah,
night
like
bass house vibe.
vibe.
And like you've had some really dope releases. I was like looking through like the catalog of stuff, and you've been on like a lot of major of kind of labels in our world, but I wanted to specifically focus in on Night Bass because you put an EP out with them. You were on the Freshman Sampler, or compilation rather, and then you've been just doing the live stream. You just did the live stream with them yesterday and stuff. So
Yeah.
like, how were you? Obviously they're one of my favorite brands out there. I think a lot of people have a lot of love for Night Bass, and I was thinking about like, there's probably a lot of people sending demos to Night Bass who are just kind of not necessarily in there yet or whatever. So what was your how did you connect with them to kind of become a part of that world?
So actually last year I met AC Slater at a show.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Detroit for a week with the Golf Clap guys, if you know
Oh
them.
yeah, the best.
Yeah, they were doing like a week long music production camp kind of. Masterio was there and West End, Zenlo, and a couple of the other guys, and we are just making music for a week. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the week, we're gonna go to like Movement and then the Country Club Disco show. AC Slater was actually playing there, so I met him and he told me to send him music, and then he really I actually sent him Mind Tricks. That was like one of the first songs that I sent him, and he really liked it, and ended up going from there. And it's really funny because I kept seeing him every single time I went to like a different music week. So if I went to like ADE or anywhere, he'd always be there playing like four different sets. So I feel like we've built like a really good friendship over the last like year or so.
Right, because like actually being in the same room with him, I think that makes a big difference versus just being like email buddies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it's different when you actually get to know someone.
Sure,
When
for
you're
sure.
putting them on your label, you want to know who you're working with.
Right. Well, no, and going to the parties. I mean, ADE, for example, like I mean, that's a whole. It's basically like a week in Amsterdam of just raging face. Even
Oh
though like
yeah.
work is getting done, it's still like a full rager. So when you party with people at ADE, that's like those are friends for life. Honestly, like I definitely have made some good friends, just like
Have
fucking
you been?
Oh, I've been like twice. Yeah, I've been twice. I've
And
definitely like
ADE is fun.
it's fucking
Good
sick.
times.
It's
It's
amazing
it's
because of all
big.
like you have all the shows and then you have all the people in the industry there. And also just the vibe is like everybody understands what it is. Everybody knows that like everyone is raging and that it's a
Yeah.
party and that, you're out, you don't go to bed pretty much, you're just out,
Oh no, it was
Um
like go out till 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and
yeah.
then sleep till maybe 9 a.m. and go back out to all the different like label parties all
Yeah,
day.
yeah. So for those who don't know, ADE happens in Amsterdam, and it's basically the biggest summit for electronic music. And it's hella international because it's in Amsterdam, so it's closer to Europe and those other countries. But a lot of like the American who's who of the industry go. You'll have like record label people, you have agents, you have artists for sure, and then so alongside it, kind of like South by Southwest or Miami Music Week, you have all of these shows and you have like these epic clubs that have been in Amsterdam forever that are like super dope. And then you have like special venues like Awakenings, which did you get to go to Awakenings?
No.
That was like it's like a huge. My friend described it as like a gas can, like, but it's like the size of a fucking football field. It's like all in the round. And I saw
They
W and
have
W
such
there.
cool like venues out there. I
Yeah,
went to this one that was like a tree house with like five different levels.
sick.
And it was very interesting. Like I got to play a set out there too, um, one of the nights, but every other time was like going out to all these crazy venues and biking around to actually get there because
Yeah,
it wasn't like all super close to each other.
right. And everyone bikes there. Like the
Yeah.
bike culture there. What's crazy is like people like dressed really well, like with like the really good like long coats or whatever. Like texting and biking at the same time, no hands. Like unbelievable bikers there. It's like what? What are you
It was
doing?
so trying to get around anywhere there's so hard though because there's just like 30 bikers that come in at once
Yeah.
everywhere.
And we're like fish out of water because we're not used to we don't know what you're supposed to do. Like I think if you grow up in that and you bike like that, like you know what to do. Like you
I was loving it though. I was like speeding, I was going, I was matching the energy. It was fun.
yeah, yeah, it's so fun. Yeah, I haven't been there in a couple years, but yeah, I don't know what that was. Um so sorry. I got off topic. So what was your progression getting into dance music? I mean, are you like a self-taught person? Was there like like what was your intro? What was the hold on before you get into that? What was the first dance music song that you fucked with where you're like, "Oh, what is this?"
Oh, it was Animals by Martin Garrix. I was driving around in my little car and I heard Animals on the radio. And at the time, like I had no idea what electronic music was, so I heard it. I was like, "Holy fuck, this is so cool!" And I went home and I tried to Google like songs like Animals.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah.
so is that kind of what got you into the production? Like, were you a fan first and then got into production, or you just get right into it?
I think I learned a lot more about electronic music after that because it was my last year of high school, and one of my friends was like, "You have to come to this rave with me," and like I was just such a like a good kid, so I had no idea like what that meant, and I was like, "Yeah,
You had
let's
never been to
go."
the, that was your first rave?
That was my first rave, like last year of high school,
Amazing.
and I just had no idea what to expect, but like I just like to live and thrive, so I was like, "Let's go." Um, Man, it was the craziest thing I've ever like seen or been part of. It was such a cool community that right away, like once I went there, I was like, my life is like I just felt different afterwards, which sounds
Right.
kind of cliche, but I
No,
feel
but
like my
that's
eyes got open to like a whole different world.
that's the beauty of the rave. Which one was it? What's it called?
It was Hardwell.
Oh, Hardwell. All right.
Hardwell was
He was
was
there.
playing.
He
Yeah,
set you
Hardwell
free,
was there. Yeah, it was his like show in like a big coliseum.
like full arena show.
Yeah.
So
So
that's amazing, because I do know what you mean, and that is what I gets me excited about like the raving experience, is like the people who go for the first time, and it clicks with them, because obviously it doesn't click with everybody, but for those that it clicks with, you're like, oh shit, you're in for a whole world.
yeah, like a whole life-changing thing. And then
Yeah.
going to your first festival after that. Woo.
Yeah, that's the next level. I love the festivals. That is something that has hit me with quarantine, that we don't have the festivals now. Although I think
Yeah.
the first drive-in rave is about to happen in like 20 minutes, when we're
Yeah, in Arizona,
in Arizona.
right?
Somebody asked, when I asked, I put on Twitter, I said that you were coming in, and somebody had a question. Hold on, but they had a question about the raves, the drive-in raves. Maybe it was just about, how do you feel about the drive-in raves?
How do I feel about the driving
How do
raves?
you feel about the
Great
drive-in
question.
raves? Are you
I
are you
think they're
playing one?
pretty cool.
Are you playing one of those coming up?
We don't have any in Canada yet.
Yeah, yeah. This is the first.
So,
This one that's coming up is the first one in America. I know they did one in Germany, I think.
yeah, I saw videos of that. I
Looks
feel
sick.
like it depends like how this goes. I feel like different event companies will try it out.
Yeah,
But I think it's really cool that we're doing it and finding ways to still be connected and like put on these shows and entertain people, but
right.
there's just nothing like actually being at a festival,
Yeah,
and meeting people, running around to different stages.
that's the best shit. That's really the
Yeah.
best shit. Like you know what my favorite is like when you're on the cusp, on like the outside edge of the tent or whatever, and something drops that everybody like in your crew like fucks with, and then it's all like everybody grabs each other's hand and kind of
Yeah, and you just
go
run in.
go into the crowd. You know what I mean? Like, I make certain tracks, I will make for that moment, where I'm like, this is the moment where they're all going to be like, oh shit, let's go. You know what I mean?
And
That's like,
when you're about to drop that track too.
yeah, no, it's that's the best shit. I mean, what's been like for you on the live, because you this last year for you seemed like it was definitely like, did you feel like it was kind of a level up? It seemed like you were getting a lot more shows, a lot more releases.
Yeah, it was getting pretty crazy like by the end of it. And by the end of it, I mean like right before quarantine hit.
Right,
I
right.
was doing my first like I just got my first like US visa, so I was going to come to play a tour in the States, which was a
Yeah,
really big deal for me.
yeah.
Um, I don't know, a lot of really amazing opportunities, but even though it's being put on hold, it's okay. Like it's gonna come back. I've just been focusing on my music and like making a lot of great songs that like when I get back to that tour, it'll be even
Absolutely.
better.
Absolutely. It's an investment in yourself. I mean, we don't have a choice at this point, but I love that you're taking advantage of it, because I do think about that concept for people like yourself. And there's a handful of artists that you could tell shit was about to pop the fuck off. You know what I mean? Even though like things already had been going well, you could tell there was like the next level was happening. I definitely felt that way with you, but I do, when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I know for a fact you're making bangers. You know what I mean? I know for a fact that you are like, you now have extra time to get inspired and find new things to build on. And at the end of the day, that's planting the seeds. You know what I mean? So that even if it takes another year for us to get back to normalcy, you're coming back and people are going to be excited to see you. They can't fucking wait.
Yeah,
You
and
know
come
what I mean?
back even like stronger. Cause
Yeah.
I remember like things were happening very like quickly for me. Like I'd made I had a bunch of music out already and a lot that I was gonna put out, but I also wanted to also have more music
Sure.
to take on tour and like play at shows. So now I have like a whole I have like a whole
You
like
have an
box of
arsenal.
songs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have the arsenal. I mean, and then the goal is
I'm
always to be
ready
able
to
to
go.
play a set of your own, like all your own originals. So that you're kind of
Yeah,
getting closer
I'm
to that.
getting there, so
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. No, I think that's a key moment for any DJ where when you really can do that, because it's hard for me. It's hard. I can't do a full set of my stuff because it's like certain stuff isn't for the club. Like I'll
Mhm.
listen to older stuff that doesn't sound as good as my new stuff. That's actually the reality. Is my older stuff doesn't sound as good as my new stuff.
I feel like every artist has that though.
You
Like
know?
every time you make a new song, you're like, this is my like my new thing. This is my
Yeah.
new favorite song.
Right. It's true. But that's good. But that's what keeps us making new songs. Is that
But
feeling?
people that listen to your songs will love your older songs too. Like
Sure.
I have a lot of people reaching out about like one of the first songs I put out, like Robot Disco, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot that I even put that out.
Yeah, totally, totally. But it's crazy. It is actually crazy to go back and kind of listen to the progression. You know what I mean? Because it's like you can tell with different bands. It's not about like the band getting better. They just might foray into different like avenues. For producers, it's like no, the producers actually have to get better. Like because like that, it's not just like that. The songs are good. Like the songs are only as good as the production in our world. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's I don't know. It's dope. I think
That's a
it's
good
also
way to put it, actually,
I just made
because
that
you're
up just here.
always that was beautiful.
Thank you. It just
Claps
see I
to
was
you.
just it was just
I feel
stupid.
like I remember when I got started in production, I remember sitting and telling myself, like, I can't wait to hear what I'm going to be making in 3 years.
Mhm,
And I feel like that always applies because, like, 3 years from now, you're going to be making something that's going to blow your mind, like right now, you know?
mhm,
Because you're
absolutely.
always, hopefully, you're always going to evolve and be getting better and better.
Right.
So I feel like that's the exciting thing about what we do is
Absolutely.
we always get to be better.
No, and that just talking about something we were talking about 2 minutes ago is like that feeling of like, oh, this is my new shit, like and kind of feeling good about your latest song. Like that's why we keep coming back to it. That's what the kind of addiction is, not for everybody, but for people who really love being in the studios. Like, yeah, you want to get that feeling again when you turn it up and you're like, oh shit, this is the fucking shit. But you know what I mean? Like that's what we live for as artists. I think for me, at least, maybe not for everybody.
No,
I
there's
just
no feeling like it when you're like actually in a state of flow and you fuck with your own songs so hard. Do you
right.
ever like just stand up and start dancing?
I do.
Good.
I do.
I do that way too much.
What's going on with you? So you're part of this kind of like mentoring community. That
Hmm.
is it tab
Yeah, it's the artist path.
the artist path
So tap
tap. There
tap
you go.
tap
So I
artist.
saw I was seeing that, and I wanted to know a little bit more about that. What's the vibe there?
So it's basically a bunch of artists that are doing mentor sessions during this time. It's gonna extend like past during this time,
Mhm.
um, but teaching one-on-one lessons on music production, music business, kind of everything that goes into that world to try to kind of give back in a way to have people learning while we have the time.
Sure, that's dope.
It's something I've wanted to do, like teach other people music production. I feel
Right.
like it's very rewarding when you see someone actually pick up a new trick and like get better at making music.
100%. 100%. So is that just like you'll do like one-on-one teaching sessions? Like how do you do that? Do you have like a session open, or are you looking at their session? What's the back
It
and
could go
forth?
either way, but it's just like a Zoom call, and depending on what the person's trying to learn, you kind of guide them through it, like teach
Right.
them tips and tricks. And
Right.
it's it. I think it's my new favorite thing that I've learned about myself during quarantine is I actually love teaching.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, teaching can be very satisfying, especially when you
Yeah,
have like somebody talented to work with. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
And I feel like you get better when you teach someone,
Hundred
because if
percent.
you can put your
Hundred
tips
percent.
and tricks into words, it actually solidifies it in your mind.
And then there's also something where you like remind yourself when you're kind of veering off from whatever it is, and you're like, dude, you know what this is. You said this the other day to this person. Like, what the fuck? Like, come on. I do that to myself like all day, every day. Like, stop being an idiot. Like, you know what it is.
I've realized that after I did my first like lesson, I sat there and I was like, what the hell? I actually know way too much about this stuff.
No,
Actually
that's
putting into words, Ableton is like a whole world.
also on some level. You just got me thinking that like and you in teaching and spreading that knowledge, it's like you're kind of maximizing the use of that knowledge because you can use it for yourself, but if you can kind of extend it, then all of a sudden like you're casting a much wider net than just yourself. So I can see it is reward. I totally get what you're saying. I've done a little
Hmm.
bit of mentorship stuff, and it to see, well, even like with Vodi, it's like we started as just doing Zoom call or Skype before Zoom got big. But
He's dope. Bodhi is
he's
dope.
dope. You guys have a record together, Brat, which came out on Dim Mak, which is dope. If you haven't heard it and you're listening to this show, go right now to Spotify,
Shameless
SoundCloud, anywhere.
plug.
And it's also going to be on the new noise sampler that's coming out pretty soon, or compilation rather, that's coming out soon. We just found out about that today, which is sick.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. But yeah, but even with him, like we started as mentor stuff, me just giving him some kind of directions, very, very lightweight directions, because he's a very sophisticated producer. And he's kind of taken some of those suggestions and run on his own path. So it can be really, I don't know, it's just a satisfying thing. I love that Brat record, by the way. What was the vibe on that? I mean, he's in Finland, so I'm assuming that you're not in the studio for that
No, we
session,
were
right?
sending each other stems back and forth.
Yeah,
It's funny because we changed it so much from like what the project was originally, but I like it because it's kind of like it's a sassy little record, I would say.
definitely. Well, the vocal on it is super catchy, and then it just kind of is like this wompy bass line that comes in as the drop. It's just like people are like, ooh, like that's nasty. Like that's
Every
kind of the
time I play the second drop, everyone in the club's like, ooh,
yeah, 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 yeah. No, I love that.
nothing, no better feeling than that.
I also love seeing like artists that I fuck with working together, like the collab, like not just collabs for collab's sake, but when I'm like, oh, like I really, what I really liked recently was that the Vanessa Omnom one, because like I love those two people, and then the record's
Skin,
yeah, Skin, and the
I
record's just
like that.
fucking, it's a hot record. Um, so that's I've been into that lately. I like that a lot. What's
I feel
the
like I've been. Have you been doing any collabs during this time?
I'm so bad with collabs. Like, people get at me and like I'll start something. I'll be like, oh, I love this. Send it to me, and then it's always my fault. Like it's not going to get done. I don't have time.
Yeah, I feel
Me,
like 90% of the time that's how
I
collabs
can't. I
go.
can't. No, and I've kind of decided like I have one record with Ocean Roulette, and he wanted to do like an EP, so I want to actually finish that other song because I really like that one we did. But that was like us in the room together, really writing together. We like used my keyboard, my Rhodes keyboard, and like it was a very
Hmm.
like musical studio session. And so like when we got out of that, we actually kind of had most of the song done. As opposed to if you send me a session, I'll be like, I got t-shirts to
Yeah, I
design.
feel like working
Yeah,
in person is so
it
different
it
because you just
pushes you
bounce
to
off each other.
yeah, it pushes you to do it. Um, so yeah, so no new so Ocean doing some stuff with him, and then who else? I mean, yeah, I've stopped. I've honestly stopped. I've stopped being like, oh, we should do a collab. I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, no, I've been chilling on the collabs too. I did a bunch last year,
Yeah,
and I
but
feel
it's
like this
good
year
because it
I've been
gets
focusing
you.
on myself.
But it gets you further out there, gets you new fans. People start to know your name. So I actually think like in the
Mhm.
beginning, it's a great strategy. I mean, for anybody, it's a great strategy. Um, I'm just like a dumbass, and I just
I just think that as you go further, you just know what your sound is more.
right,
So I feel like you're less likely to collab with someone that doesn't really fit your sound.
right,
But
for
like in
sure.
the beginning when you're just learning and having fun with it, you're like, "Okay, yeah, let's collab. Like I want to try making something
Totally.
together."
But you always learn from the collab too. That's go back to the teaching thing. I actually think the collab actually is a really important teaching tool because for I know every collab I ever do, I've learned 3 or 4 tricks. I'm like, oh, that's now in my arsenal.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like
collabs are the best.
I like that element of it because you're like trading tips. Speaking of trading tips, I've been doing this thing every week on production hacks is what I call it. I need to get a sound where it's like production hacks. I need like
Let
some
me
sort of like
bridge production
production hack. So
hacks.
the idea is I ask each artist like, do you have one production tip you could give to the producer listeners who listen to the show? Either something that you use all the time or something that's become very valuable to you that you think would be helpful.
Oh my God. Okay, I really like um LFO tool or arpeggiator, using it on your 808 or your sub bass to create like a cool pattern to create more movement in your bass line.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool trick. Most people don't use that.
LFO. What was the other one?
LFO or arpeggiator. So you can just
Arpeggiator.
automate it um, to pretty much create a different rhythm going
Right.
along with your bass.
There, I just learned something
There
new.
we have it.
There
It's
it
really
is.
cool. It's actually really cool. It's how I made my song Heist.
Okay. Which is another banger. They're all bangers.
Thank you.
One thing I've also noticed is you're starting to like actually sing, rap, talk on your tracks as well. Is that kind of like, is there going to be a lot of that coming up from you?
Oh yeah. I've been I've always wanted to rap. It's just something I've always wanted to do. And I'm not one to always to say that I want to do something. I just do it. Um so I've been rapping a lot on my tracks, especially during quarantine. I've made like I think 4 or 5 at least.
But
So
are they like house tunes with raps?
yeah,
Oh, nice,
they get
nice.
pretty crazy. So I'm excited to share those down the line.
I'm excited. I'm excited to hear those, for real. Actually, you know what? Can you send me vocals and then I'll make something? That way, it doesn't actually have to be
I
a
could do
collab.
them
I could
live
just
right now.
you can do
I'm
well. All
just kidding.
right,
No.
just record them now. You can. Here you go. Let's go.
Done.
Yeah. Uh huh. Give me the
Let's
bag.
go.
Let's go.
Wiggity wug.
That's it. Wiggity wug.
That's it.
That's
You guys
it.
are welcome. Thank you for tuning in today. That's all for today, folks.
There's the sample. I will make a song. You did that's it. You just said that's it. I think that's it.
That's it. You could just keep looping that.
That's it.
That's
All
it.
right, I got to write that
That's
down.
it,
Hold
man.
on, I'm writing it down. I actually have a pen and paper here right now. Here we go.
Love it.
That's it. That's it.
That's it, man.
That's the track. We just did our collab. That's it. It's done.
That's it.
I'm just gonna take a Walker and Royce.
London Bridge. That's it.
I'm just gonna take a Walker and Royce instrumental and put your vocal on it, and we'll just call it ours. It'll be great.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Gavin. Hold on. I had more questions and things. I don't know what else is going on. Oh shit. We've almost done a half. Are you gonna do a guest mix for this show? Can you do it? Can you? Yes. Yes.
Of course I am.
I'm excited about that. Hold on. I want to go through my questions because I had when I, you know what I like. My favorite thing is when I do a interview and we get to all my questions without me looking at the questions. I feel like that's what happened here. Oh, this is another one though. I do want to know producers you're fucking with right now. Like who are you listening to? 2 or 3 people that you're really like. This is my shit.
Oh my god, there's so many right now.
I need 3. I want the top 3.
Okay, Makla.
Yes.
They're a duo. They're really killing it.
Super good.
JC Ordonez.
Oh yeah.
He's been releasing a bunch of stuff on Confession. He's fucking slaying it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, last one. I don't want to leave anyone out. Who else? Ooh, Umbre. I think that's how you pronounce it. Umbre.
How do you spell it?
Umbre.
Umbre.
She just released something on Kaposi's label. So those are some producers that I'm fucking with. They've been killing it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna check out Umbre. I didn't know Umbre. Umbre.
I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. She's French, so if I am, I apologize.
Well, it's okay. Shout out. Well, dude, French. It's the French mafia. Are you kidding me?
Umbre.
Like all the
Wait,
best shit is coming
Umbre.
out of all the best shit's coming out of
No, I
France.
swear.
It's
Oh
crazy.
my god.
There's something in the water.
The best producers are like French. I swear to God.
What do you got? You got
I feel like they're just born
Abstract.
producing.
Got Habstract. You got Clyde P. You got Timberesco, DJ Snake, Shiba San, Mala, French.
Is Chami French?
Chami, I thought was Canadian somewhere, but maybe he's French Canadian, so I think that counts.
Oh yeah. I think he's French Canadian.
That counts. He's a man of the world. He's from the future. I need to listen. Have you listened to his album? I haven't listened to his album yet. I'm going to listen to his album. I've heard that it's dope.
I've listened to a couple songs. It was really fucking good.
I like that Joyride album.
He's an amazing producer.
That Joyride album really did it for me. Did you listen to that one?
Yeah, I feel like everyone was talking about that for a while.
I still talk
about it. That was a good album.
Well, you very rarely do you have real
amazing.
You rarely have real albums from artists. Like it's just like a hodgepodge of songs. This was like an album, like where it's like it all.
You could tell that he
together.
like really put in time. Yeah. Every single track.
Shout out to Joyride. I like him. I don't know. And your shit is dope too. I was jamming the last 2 days. I've been jamming. It's LD approved. Not that really stands for anything, but either way. All right. Well, thank you, Nostalgix, for being on the show. I appreciate it so much. And we're going to go into a guest mix from Nostalgix. I'm assuming it's a bunch of IDs and of your music. Yeah. Is that what we're doing?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna hear some Nostalgix to the dome. Thanks for being here, and hopefully we'll get out of this quarantine soon. We'll have another show. Because that show we did together in Vancouver was off the chain. That was fucking sick.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to do some more shows together. The Space
Yeah.
Yacht shows are like really fucking cool.
It's a good vibe. And
Shout out to Space Yacht.
shout out to you. Shout out to Nostalgix. Shout out to Celebrities Nightclub. That's where we were.
Celebrities.
That seems like a legendary spot.
Yeah, that's the spot in Vancouver. That's
Yeah.
where like everyone comes through.
So hopefully we'll fucking open from quarantine, go have a rave there, and be on our way. You know what I mean? All right. Well, we are going into a guest mix from Nostalgix. Thanks for being here. It's your boy London Bridge for Space Out Radio, and we'll catch you next week on the Flippy Flop.